Hello, all my real estate friends and also generational wealth partners. I would just like to cover a subject for a couple minutes here right now. With everything that we learn about real estate and the marketing and knowing your numbers and vetting tenants and repairing properties and holding and flips, there's sometimes in the method of what we're doing, there's a gap that many people they don't really catch. And I want to talk a little bit today about a certain type of capital. When I think about capital, I think about four major types of capital, and there's more than four, but four major types of capital that I deal with in building real estate. And I'm going to give number one as number one. Number one type of capital is spiritual capital. And I believe that is God's force of favor on your life. He blesses the work of your hands. The other type of capital is intellectual capital, or wisdom, knowledge, understanding, the teachings that you hear, and all of the different resources that are out there, the wonderful books that are out there to begin to learn exactly where you're at and how to take steps to upskill your business or first steps in a new direction. So we've got spiritual capital, God's favor on your life. We've got intellectual capital, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and the resources that come along with that. There's also financial capital. And we understand that there are certain things that we have financially that we can begin to upscale, whether it's a HELOC or whether it's a lazy, money in the bank somewhere, or whether it's a toy that isn't making us money, or redirecting an IRA or a mutual fund, something like that. So we've got financial capital. But that's not the capital I want to talk about today. The capital I want to talk about today is the fourth one. And I think it is one of the most important ones. And it is social capital. Social capital is so important because 70% of all new startup in business, estimated, of their business is by referral or by relational marketing. Meaning the relationships that you build around your life, the team you build around your life, is like rocket fuel for you taking your business to the next level. And so realize there's what you know, that the old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, it's actually both. And so in discussing social capital, it is so huge, and I'm going to say this from the beginning, it is not using people. It is not being pushy. It is not you manipulating people to promote your product. And one of the terms that we use when people only want a relationship based on what you can do for them is, basically we call it retail breath. That when they get around you, you can tell they're just trying to put a hook in you and leverage the relationship to actually promote themselves. And that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is true symbiotic relationships that are life-giving, that can help one another. And some of the relationships, just real quick, I want to talk about. Of course, we have a whole video series where we go to seed on this. But a couple of the things is I have built and bought so many properties, not because of an MLS sheet, but because of the law of referral. Somebody knowing something that was coming up for sale. And so a lot of times it's a dog-eat-dog market. Even when I go to tax sales, you can begin to look around at the people around you as competition in the room, where they might be buying things that you don't necessarily buy, and you might have a different criteria in what they buy. You can begin to come together and begin to refer things to one another, and you can really, I've said before, partnership is the power of multiplication. And so you can begin to build healthy relationships with people. And some of the relationships, of course, we'll talk about in a later time. Contractors, lawyers, accountants, of course, realtors, mortgage brokers, and bankers. These are all valid relationships. But I'm not just talking on the business side. I'm talking about actually having, like with my attorneys, I have 3 different attorneys. And we have an attorney-client relationship. And so with the relational side of it, one of my attorneys, he is a local attorney that deals a lot in real estate. And he has other investors that he's an attorney for. And recently, one of his clients ended up, he was retiring, he was liquidating, listen, over 100 properties. And in liquidating over 100 properties, the guy didn't even have to go to put them up for sale at auction or go through a realtor, because he had a good attorney that had a whole lot of relational capital with other investors. And so those properties never made it on the market. They went from investor to investor because somebody had a good relationship with an attorney. A relationship with an attorney, and we'll just talk about this. A relationship with an attorney. How many know there are people that get divorced, and I don't like divorce as much as anyone else. But how many of you know when there's a divorce happening, most of the time, or a lot of the time, two individuals, when they part their ways, they have a piece of property that they got to liquidate, because that is the last asset that is tying them together. And you're not taking advantage of them. Lord knows I wish for reconciliation. We're just talking on the social capital, knowing people that can help find you good deals and do a service to the people that are wanting to sell it. And so a lot of times the attorney might have people that are actually needing to sell a property very quickly, and so that's another one. Insurance agents. Families might drop insurance on a property they're really ready to liquidate, and if you have a good relationship with an insurance agent, they might be able to tell you, hey, there's a piece of property over here. I've had friends that just simply knew that I was in real estate and said, Dan, I know of a good piece of property coming up for sale here, and I was wondering if you're interested in it. And I said, a friend offered it to me, and the law of referral. I said, if you will set up the deal and they're okay with selling to me, I will give you a bonus. And so one friend just introduced me to another friend that we purchased a chunk of property off of. And I believe in transactional money, and I also believe in devotional money. Transactional money says, you know what, I'm going to pay this amount for this service. But sometimes in relationships, you give devotional money, meaning this: when somebody turns me on to a good property, I'm going to reward them. This one brother, we gave a $10,000 check to and didn't have to. But we did it because we appreciate the relationship. And so understanding when you go into a room, I have certain things that I can help people with. And people have certain things that they can help me with. And as we come together with relational capital and social capital, what happens is it is like I said before, it is a huge tool in promoting and increasing everything that you really would like to be able to do in the future. Our contractors are people we've had long-term relationships with. I get two different prices. The people that my contractor does work for over here, I call them a stake. They're going to be a one-time roof or something like that. But I'm a milk cow. He's going to get 10 jobs off of me every single year. Sometimes 20 or 30 jobs a year, depending on whether it's fixes or total renovations and stuff like that. And so over the last 20 years, I've built a good relationship with this team of people and also this company. And so it is because of the social capital that I'm able to actually ask for things that normally many people wouldn't. On the flip side of it too, the reality is because my contractor knows what I do, he knows my criteria. So he is finding properties for me all the time, as much as he possibly can, because he knows that's his gravy in the future. I have friends that are politicians who have worked with me on getting things out of government's hands and into the private citizens' hands, getting them back on the tax rolls. And I'm not just talking tax sales either. I'm talking about, I bought an industrial park years ago, and the county commissioners had it, and they gave me a break, and they gave me an opportunity to bid on it, and help me along with the process in getting it. And so there are so many different ways. And I'll tell you this, social capital as well. I believe everybody needs a mentor, and everybody needs a teacher. And so I try and serve and help people that know much more than me and connect with them in their success. And so these have been some of the roots and streams that have caused me to grow. But I would just encourage you, as you're doing the numbers and you're purchasing the properties, look around you in the auctions. Look around you and begin to build relationships that possibly are long-term. And I would say this, that one of the number one things that have changed my life is you have got to get outside of your bubble when it comes to relationships. I have one attorney that I work with that is in Vincennes, Indiana. I have another attorney I work with that's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I have another attorney I work with that's in Denver, Colorado. And so these three different relationships, they've really helped me out a whole lot. And the two of the three I learned about because I went to real estate conferences. And I got in the room with other real estate people, and I found out that my world was not the real estate world. And so we began to have dinners, break bread with each other, hang out with each other, do workshops with each other, and the law referral began to happen. They would say, I know a guy that can help you with what you're doing there. And so just to stress it, I really believe that there are people for your life, and there are avenues for you to maximize what God has for your life as far as building generational wealth. But a lot of times it is not only in working systems, it is in winning teams and recognizing the different people that are put in your life that you're doing business with, or you should be, so that you can maximize everything that you have been called to do as far as real estate and in building wealth in general. Thank you.